So this is a presentation on activity 1.6 see-through, and we're going to talk about digital images and how we represent digital images with digital data. Then I'm going to walk you through using some free software called GIMP that we will use to manipulate some images so that we can create some sprites that we can use in our apps. So let's start off. I'm just going to talk quickly about digital images, what they are, and how computers use them. So just like any other piece of digital data, a picture is just a picture file is just a sequence of ones and zeros, and all of that information records the qualities of each pixel element or pixel. And you can see the picture of the giraffe here, and then down here we've blown it up so that you can see these pixels. And the pixels store the information about the color of each pixel. And so moving on. So we use red, each pixel uses red, green, and blue. And so if you imagine this is like blown up really big, and each one of these is a pixel. Each pixel is capable of showing red, green, and blue, and the red, green, and blue light combine to make other colors. And here's how colors are made by combining red, green, and blue. If you combine all three, you get white. Red plus green is yellow, red plus blue, magenta, so on, and then you can combine them in different intensities to create other colors as well. So we use three numbers to specify a color, and for each for each of the red, green, and blue parts of each pixel. We're not going to dwell on this though. So if we have, for instance, this picture right here, we zoom in, and this is what it might look like. So this yellow block is showing red and green, red and green. This block that's black has no color showing. The ones that are white have all three, and then this magenta color has just the blue and red. So this is kind of the part that I wanted to make sure that we understood. So some file formats use a fourth number for the images. So we get red, green, blue, and something called alpha, which is the A channel. And alpha indicates whether a pixel should be see-through or transparent. JPEG images do not support transparent parts of images, so they do not have an alpha channel. But we're going to be using PNG images, images, which do support alpha, and they support transparent pixels and see-through. There are other file formats that do as well. .gif files or the GIF files also support transparent images. So so this fourth number, the higher you turn it, the less transparent that pixel becomes. So that's just kind of an overview of how that works. So now let's do something fun, and we're going to use software called GIMP. So the GIMP icon looks like this little, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a wolf or a weasel or what. But if you click that, it'll open a screen that looks kind of like this. And we're going to go through, and I'm going to show you how we can take an image and we can make some changes to it so that it's easier for us to use. So we launched GIMP, and then now you're going to need to find an image file. And I did a Google search and I found a squirrel, and I just copied that image earlier, or actually I saved it. And so I saved it onto my hard drive, and I called it squirrel. And so first thing I'm going to do is open that in GIMP here. So I go up to the File menu, and I choose Open, and you have to search for where you have it saved, but here's my image right here, squirrel.jpg. It's awesome. and we're going to open that. And so here's my image. Awesome, cool. So here's the problem, right? So let's say that I'm making an app and the squirrel is going to be like a character in my app, like maybe I can control the squirrel or whatever, but I really just want the squirrel. I don't want like this background, right? I don't want this weird like rectangle of green with the squirrel. So first thing that I'm going to do is show you how we can cut out part of the image that we want to use. And this would be useful too if I had a scene with like lots of animals and I really just want the squirrel, and I can cut that out. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my tools menu and the selection tools, and I'm going to choose free select. And if you have this toolbar open, you can also select it right here. It's the lasso. And I'm just going to start somewhere, maybe like right here, and just click and move my mouse and click, click, click. I like to do a lot of clicking and just try to go around the squirrel as best I can. Now, I'm not going to right now take the time to, sometimes, if you take your time, you can do a really good job with this, but I'm not going to make you sit and watch me work on this for 20 minutes to try to make this look good. So I'm just going to click around, click, 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 to outline a squirrel. That did not work. Alright, so I'm going to try this again. I'm not sure why it thought I was done there. I'm just connected to the beginning. I might have accidentally right-clicked or something. Alright, so this isn't going to look great because I'm doing it really fast. But actually, to be honest, you'd be surprised how decent it turns out even if you kind of do a crummy job of this. But if you do a really good job, it looks a lot better. So come up here and click, 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 scroll, scroll, scroll. This tail's going to be kind of pointy when I'm done, but I don't mind. Come up here, go around this and then I finish back where I started. Alright, so here's what I've selected for my squirrel. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this background. So right now the squirrel's selected, but I actually want everything selected but the squirrel. So I'm going to come up here to the select menu, and I'm going to choose invert. And what invert does is, now you can see, since we have these like crawly lines around the edge and the squirrel, what's really selected right now is this green area, and the squirrel is not selected. And that's what I want, because now I'm going to make all this area out here white. So I'm going to come up to the color menu, and I'm going to choose, or actually no, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm actually just going to push delete on my keyboard and delete that part of the image. So now I got the white squirrel thing going on here. Alright, so here's the thing. I can't be done now, because what's going to happen is if I just save this image like this white is still part of this image, and if I put it against a background with any color, I'm going to see it. And so it's going to look weird, because it's going to be the squirrel with this like on this white rectangle going around, and I don't want that. I just want the squirrel. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this white area and we're going to make it transparent. And the reason that I deleted the green is because what we're really going to do is we're going to tell the program to set everything that's in our selected area that is a certain color to transparent, and the color is going to be white. So now I'm going to come up here to my color menu, because we still have that white area selected. We haven't changed that. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to choose color to alpha. And basically what this does is this turns a certain color in my selected area to transparent. And the default is white, so it's changing it from white to alpha, and I can see in this preview kind of what it's going to look like. My white areas out here are going to become transparent. And I say OK. And so now where this checkerboard pattern is, it's still part of the image file, and so it'll still be part of what goes on, but you'll see the background through it, and that's what I want. Now, I'm going to come up here to the select menu, and I'm going to choose none to turn off the selection. But I want to do one more thing, because like if I do something where I say, hey, if this sprite touches another image, do something, and there are event handlers to handle that. If the sprite touches this, then do whatever. But what I want to do is I don't want something to touch like this corner of this transparent area and count as touching the squirrel, right? So you can actually just cut out the squirrel, but I actually think it's easier to crop it this way. And I'm just going to choose this rectangular cropping tool, and usually it's good enough to get really close to the squirrel. I'm going to get rid of all this out here so that my image is just the size of the squirrel here, right? So I do that, and then I come up here to my image menu, and I'm going to choose crop to selection. And that's going to, now this is the size of my image, here's my squirrel, and I'm cool with that. So now I want to save this in a file format that I can actually use when I create my image sprite. So I want to come up here and go to File, and I'm not going to save it, I'm going to export it. Now if you want to do more work on it later, you can save it because it'll save it as a GIMP file, but you can't really use a GIMP file in App Inventor. So we're going to come down and we're going to export this, and we want to export it as a PNG file. And so you can navigate over here to where you want to save it and give it a name, and I'm just going to call it squirrel.png, and then down here where it says all export images, I'm going to tell it what kind of file I want it to be, and you have to scroll down through here and find the one that says PNG. Stands for Portable Network Graphics, and PNG images do support transparent pixels. And I'm just going to click export then. This dialog comes up, and I'm going to suggest that you uncheck this box that says save color values from transparent pixels, because all that does is it leaves the information in the file about what color those transparent pixels were at one point. All it does is take up memory and make your image load slower, so we don't need that. So I just uncheck that box, click export, and it should be saved now. So if I go into my where I have this saved here, so now I have these two files. Whoops, I must have misspelled it when I saved it. I didn't notice that. So here's my original JPEG image that I downloaded, and then here's the one that that I just made, and it's the squirrel, and all of this white area when I use this will actually show the background through, so we'll only see the squirrel, which is exactly what I want, or my squirrel. So that's how you use GIMP, and there are lots of other features on here. If you want to mess with it, it's fine. But now you know how to create images that we can use later to make sprites that we'll use in our apps as characters.